Hello, good evening, and welcome to the 2-0 Football Podcast, the special CopaMX edition. For those of you that were watching, it looks like Querétaro is the new CopaMX champion, and wouldn't it be just like Liga MX to decide that they're no longer going to participate in Copa Libertadores when a little team wins the cup? So bittersweet victory for Querétaro, but they do get a trophy, the first trophy in their history. Very proud for Victor Manuel Bucetich, who once again wins a final. His record in finals is frankly staggering. It's very impressive. I think he's only lost one and won like 14 or 15. It's truly an amazing record that the man has in finals. But glad that you guys could join us. Apologize for my lack of energy. I'm a little under the weather here in Austin, Texas, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to have a lively podcast for you this evening. With us, as always, an esteemed panel of guests. Start out in South Central Los Angeles, a gentleman who is probably has mixed emotions about the loss tonight for his Chivas. Of course, I'm talking about the self-loathing Chivas fan himself, Joel Aceves. Joel, how are you?
Jubilee John, doing good despite the defeat, but it's all good. Querétaro deserve to have a campeonato.
Yeah, so you're saying you're not going to Plaza Mexico in Los Angeles tonight to celebrate?
I don't celebrate Copa, but with no more Libertadores, I think maybe fans will embrace this. And I was glad to see the Querétaro. Their fan base really.
It was a solid crowd. It was a sellout crowd in the Corregidora, and like you said, I mean, they won their first final ever in their 66 years of existence. So if you're a Queretano, I'm sure that you will be. And I gotta tell you, every time they would make a big play, the loudspeakers would play the rooster crowing, which just cracks me up. It's like, what really inspires a crowd, and like hearing chicken noises. Something we'll discuss a little later. Well, thank you for joining us, Joel. Your insights are always welcome here. Another gentleman in California. I'm not sure if he's going to have too much to. Maybe he's just going to listen tonight. But he is on the call, but it looks like he might be muted. So we'll wait for him to decide when he wants to join us. Of course, I'm talking about Juan Uribe, the Cambia Rayas himself. We'll see if he decides to dar la cara, as they say. And then, of course, over in Kyle, Texas. Actually, you're not in Kyle. You're in Santa Clarita right now. So all three of y'all are in California. This is like you guys are ganging up on me.
Yeah. Oh, California.
Albert El Chiquis Campa, who went to Wally World today. How'd it go, Wally World? Was it fun?
Yeah, it was good. Nice weather in Wally World. Just never opened. But yeah, time to celebrate in the Los Arcos.
Yeah, there were literally dozens of fans at the Estadio Chivas
with sad faces on, crying. Yeah, that was a good game. I watched most of the first half, and I was impressed with the speed and quickness that they countered with the Chivas.
Yeah, I mean, the energy of the game was terrific, and we have to give a shout out to the goalie for Querétaro, Volpi, who made some just banana saves, particularly in the second half, and then obviously he did a really good job of psyching out the Chivas penalty takers, particularly Adam Pulido, who he said, "Go ahead and kick it over here," and he did, and he missed.
John, I think it was a brilliant move on Querétaro's part. They announced his contract extension, and they did a big deal about it. So I think that pretty much inspired Volpi.
Well, he obviously had an inspired performance tonight. I think he's reason 1A for why Querétaro is lifting the trophy for the first time in their I wouldn't say illustrious history, but their pedestrian history, since this is the first time that they've lifted. And again, good for them. And how can you not like hearing the cackles of a rooster?
Hey, no, but we rarely hear about a press conference announcing a contract extension, and for them to do it on the night of the Cup, and with all the media present because of the final. They made like a big event out of that. And I think it motivated the player, and he had you could say he was MVP. He even scored a penalty.
He did, and he took his penalty very well. This is something that frankly is just I've never, if I took penalties a few times in my life, and there were two things I always did. One, I always looked at the corner I wasn't going to kick at. That was one thing I always did, and the second thing I did was that I made damn sure that if I'm going to miss the goal, I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss one of the posts. I tried so hard not to kick it within like a meter range of the goalie. And obviously, when you're younger, the players don't fly as much. But I mean, what on earth are you doing kicking a penalty that's within a 3 or 4 foot range of the goalie? I mean, you're asking for the guy to save it. And Chivas did that several times tonight, and it's just. If the guy saves it, if you're going down, low into the corner, high into the corner, terrific goalkeeping. But if you're kicking it, within the middle of the goal mouth, then you're giving yourself less of a chance for it to complete. And the Cubs have just taken a 2-run lead in the top of the 10th inning. So we'll see how that plays out. It's. Now, one thing I will say, I think you're right, Chiquis, is that the game itself was played at a breakneck pace. I mean, that is a pace that frankly we're not used to seeing in CopaMX and Liga MX period. It just the speed of the game is really.
That's how Chivas beat America in the Super Clásico the first time this year, is they outran them and just hustled them. And then the second time, America sort of bunkered a little bit more and played it a little bit better. But this Querétaro team is a lot faster and quicker than America. So they were like in the first half, they must have both teams turned it over like back and forth. I don't know, like 30 times in 2 minutes or something. They just couldn't control the ball because they were just like all running at each other. They're trying to recover the ball, and it was pretty exciting. But so I thought, okay, yeah, Querétaro's going to give this team a run for their money and not let them just like use their speed and quickness all over them.
Now, normally a CopaMX winner would have the possibility of playing it in Copa Libertadores, but it was announced today, and I don't necessarily think that this is official. We haven't seen official word, but there has been leaks, and usually when there are leaks, it means that they want information like this to be leaked. And the leak is that Mexico is not going to play in the Copa Libertadores, which to me just says that their TV contract is up and they're trying to negotiate. With whomever it is that whether it's Televisa or Fox or ESPN or whoever it is. So I don't think that it's completely dead just yet. But the fact that they changed the calendar is telling. So
are you guys watching the ceremony?
I am not. I am watching. Actually, I'm watching the baseball. Like I watch baseball. Like.
Oh my gosh. It happened again, man. Is Vergara over there getting his second place trophy?
I seen it. Those guys were lined up. Higuera. Why is Higuera even lined up? He's the CEO of OmniLife.
I want to tweet this to you, man. This is crazy. He's in line, dude. Vergara is. What a fool.
Well, there you have it. It's I mean, the guy I'm really happy for again is Vuce. I think Vuce is just as far as especially Mexican coaches go. I mean, can you really think of another another Mexican coach who's accomplished as much as this man has?
Which makes it sad how he was treated with the national team, because they just gave him like 2 games. And
Chicharito misses an open net in Costa Rica, by whiffing at the ball, like literally missing the ball. It's Setich fault.
Yeah, so he might be retiring after this. So, there's speculation that he's going to become Querétaro's GM. And they might bring Hugo Sanchez as coach.
Really, that would be very interesting. I would like to see how that works out. Now, on to this Copa Libertadores news that dropped about an hour or so before the game. Going to happen, or is this just a negotiation ploy? I personally think it's a negotiation ploy. That CONMEBOL stands, we know what they're about, and they stand to lose way too much money by not having the Mexican teams. But but on the other hand, the Mexican teams have to figure out a way to manage their own calendar. So there's definitely some.
I gotta wait a calendar.
Has to be done.
I gotta wait a calendar. Just forget about Liga MX, CopaMX, or whatever other thing. Concentrate on Libertadores. To me, a Mexican team winning Libertadores is more important than any Mexican local cup or anything like that.
Chiquis, you don't have to do away with the CopaMX. They just reformat it.
Well, I'm talking about the team. Like if the team send your scrubs to Liga MX, concentrate on the Libertadores if you're qualified. Like if Querétaro goes or Chivas were to go or whoever, send your first team to Libertadores. Concentrate everything on that.
Well, I mean, there's no doubt that is probably one of the sticking points that CONMEBOL has with Yankees teams is that you guys begged to be in the tournament. We made it as hard for you as possible to do it. You guys you finally overcame that, and then you repay us by sending reserve teams. I mean, like case in point, Monterrey when they were at the peak of their power, and this is something that Vucetich did. They had just won the league. They weren't in the Conca Champions yet. I mean, they had Suazo. They had just this incredible team, and they go to Libertadores and play with reserves. They played at the group stage with reserves and didn't even qualify. If they would have played it with their full squad, they would have, who knows how far they would have gone because they were, I mean, as good a team as there'd been.
But doesn't the Molero apply to Libertadores? Like the U.S. fans of Monterrey or whoever's in Libertadores is still going to watch them, even though they're scrubs, their scrub team. So they're
that's
still
not the point. I mean, that could be true, but I mean, what is the point of going to that tournament? Begging to be in the tournament, and overcoming all the ridiculous logistical obstacles that if you're just going to send a reserve team, I mean, it makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. And I think that it was. I'm not going to say it was disrespectful, but I mean, it was certainly an affront to the tournament. I mean, it's a very important tournament. It's probably this, as far as part of the world, it's easily the most important club tournament in the world, and you have an opportunity to play it. I mean, you just said yourself, Chiquis. You send your first team because it is that important. I mean, like Pumas last year. Pumas had a good run. They made it to the quarterfinals. They probably should have made it to the semis. Because the last time they played it was 11 years ago, and they were knocked out of the group stage. So yeah, you want Pumas to give it their full attention, and they did, and it ended up not working out. But I mean, at least as a Pumas fan, you can hang your head high, saying, well, yeah, we got knocked out of the tournament, but I mean, at least we didn't play it with a bunch of scrubs, and then you end up losing to the team that wins the whole thing. I mean, that's there's a little dignity in that. I mean, I'd rather do that than to go 6-0 in the group stage, playing with my B team.
Yeah, I agree. You should bring your first team to this tournament. But for CONMEBOL to complain, I don't know if they have anything to complain about. They're still going to make the same money. But yeah,
I don't know about that. I mean, if they don't have the Mexico or the U.S. market, where there's a vested interest, then how that contract is going to look, frankly.
Also, do you think
I think that this is a negotiation. I think that they're bringing, their market, their contract was with Fox, both in the U.S. and Mexico. I'm sure that they would prefer to have an ESPN or a Televisa or Univision or somebody like that, an area that has more reach to do that. So there's maybe there's an opportunity there. So that's why I don't necessarily think that the book is closed on this, because I think that there's way too much money on the table to walk away from if they don't include the Mexican teams. Just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Joel, is Mexico out of the Libertadores, or are they just or are people just posturing right now? We'll never know. We'll never know.
Joel.
We'll never know. Joel must have a chore to do. They're at the homestead. Hey, papi, will you take the trash out? So we'll see how that turns out. But
I think, John, they are out for now.
You think so, Joel?
Yeah, we might spend a season or two without it, and then they might reformat it again.
And then they re-sign with Televisa and Univision to get better reach?
No, I mean CONMEBOL. They might go back.
Oh, I understand. Well, what I'm saying, I mean, one of the reasons why they're doing this is because their TV contract is with Fox is up. So, there's something to be said about negotiations, and again, when stuff like this is leaked, it's usually by interested parties. So we'll see how that turns out. Now I've noticed that the Camille Reyes is back on, but he's still muted. I wonder if he's gonna, as Rafa Marquez said after the 7-0. I guess we'll find out here in a little bit. Now back to the Gallos. So they have this thing that's the sound effect that every time they do a good play, you hear a cock-a-doodle-doo, the rooster crow. And it reminds me, you guys are familiar with the radio station in Mexico, Stereo Rey? Stereo Rey.
No, I'm not.
No, it was like an easy listen. It was all over the country. I knew it because that was what my grandmother listened to. So it was like easy listening, and like in the middle of a song, you'd hear the the cock-a-doodle-doo of the thing. So it just reminded me of that. It was like, wow, that's kind of weird that they would do that. But I guess if you're the Gallos Blancos, I mean, what else are you going to play? You have to play a rooster crowing whenever your team does something good. And then I did like the fact that their mascot, who is obviously a white rooster, was part of the celebration, and he got his trophy, and he was very happy. So kudos to the Gallos Blancos for winning. And Joel, you are right. The goalkeeper Volpi. I mean, not only did he have the game of his life, but he totally psyched out the Guadalajara penalty kickers. He just played mind games with them and ended up working out for him.
And there's something to be said about Pulido missing another key penalty strike.
His head is not good with ball yet. He needs to, he hasn't played for 2 years. It's gonna take him some time.
And he was pretty much a non-factor this game. He hasn't, there is high expectations because of his price tag. So that's the one player that they bring him to make a difference in these big games, and for him to, the least he could do is score the penalty, and to be missing on that,
Right. Now Pulido seems like he reminds me. I mean, he's more of like a striker that's cut from the cloth of a Chicharito, a guy who is a good finisher in the box, but not necessarily a guy who helps set up the plays as much. Now Chicharito's obviously gotten a lot better at that. I don't think anybody denies that. But when you have 2 years of inactivity, you're going to be rusty. And so,
I think Pulido's, and he showed it a little bit more in this game. He uses his body well. He can protect the ball really well. So he's sort of like Oribe in that aspect, but he can also dribble, and he's really quick and finishes. There was one part of the game where I had to disagree with Joel on what he said, where he was actually pretty dangerous. He would control it, and he even passed it to the
Chiquis was, but he didn't score, man.
No, he passed the ball down right into the middle to Gullit, and he was like wide open, and Gullit like does some like half taken kick, and it goes to the goalkeeper.
That's the other guy. Gullit has also been very inconsistent.
And that's what surprises me about these past 2 games, the one with America and this game. And even everyone is saying that Almeida put in the B team against America and today. And what is Orbelin doing on the bench the whole first half and then part of the second? What is Brizuela? Just because that dude got injured, but Brizuela coming in most likely
To
he would
show
have
you
came in.
that, as much as some of the folks here at the Los Estados football podcast would like us to think that the CopaMX now had a great crowd tonight, but it's just not that. It's not as important a tournament one would want folks to think it is. Now, they can make it very important by, say, raising the level of the prize money. Think of a team like Gallos, who, I know that they're well paid in Mexico, but I'm sure that that their salaries are modest compared to other teams. I'm sure that it was a big deal for them because this is mailbox money that they weren't expecting. This is you bought a scratch off and you won 20 grand. This is a big deal for them, and so maybe if they made the prize money a little bit more enticing, then maybe the teams would. Or at least the players would take it a little more seriously. So, it's a work in progress. I like Joel, think that CopaMX has a bright future as long as they start including some of the lower divisions and make it more of a one-off tournament where the pressure is a lot higher and it's more entertaining instead of playing whatever it is like 6 or 7 games like in groups. It just doesn't make any sense. So working and obviously the fans are responding because at least in the later rounds there were some very decent crowds at the stadiums. Of course, it was nice to have some of the more popular teams in the league continue to participate, and that obviously helped them a lot. It's let's just say that a Chiapas Atlas crowd is not going to be the same as for Chivas or America. No offense to our Chapaneco or Rojinegro fans that listen to us, but sometimes we drop truth bombs here on the Los Estados football podcast, and that's just the reality. Just the reality. But you're right, Chiquis. Why didn't Orbelin play the whole game? Orbelin to me is the heart and soul of that team. He's the bedrock, the cornerstone of what Chivas does, both offensively and sometimes. And you would think that in a cup final that you would want to play at least a handful more of your integral players.
Yeah, it's sort of like he gave it away. He was like, I'm going to go for this with these sorry players, and hopefully we'll win. They got lucky against America. There was a referee error mistake, and they got lucky against America. But
you know what? There's also this pressure to get a lot of these guys that Chivas paid. They broke their piggy bank to get like Tagallitos and
Where do they find
Pulidos and the Kulits. They paid all this money and their bench. So there's this pressure to win something or to get them playing well together again. Because the other thing is where it's like, did the club really need them if they're doing better without them?
The Cubs are 1 out away from winning their first World Series since Mark Twain was alive.
They need to get rid of Gullit, man. I think they trade him or something.
Well, he'll end up. Where do they end up in Querétaro, right? Isn't that where the Chivas cast-offs end up?
Yes, and there's a good relationship right there through Higuera that he's related to the president. I forgot his name, but the president of Querétaro, they're cousins.
The Grupo Imagen guy.
Yeah, he even owned the club for a day. I know I mentioned it before, but
that's right.
He, I don't know, something went wrong with negotiations, and they took away the ownership. But yeah.
That recently had an owner that nobody knew who it was. It was like a silent owner, a mystery owner. Was it you, Joel?
No, you know what?
No.
What club was easy to own was León. They were worth. They got bought like around $5 million a few years back. $5 million.
If there's a team that is in desperate need of a new stadium, it is León. That is just a really good atmosphere. But that stadium is so just.
How do you value a club at that much? Chivas USA was Vergara sold it back for like 20 million, and then MLS sold the Chivas USA franchise for about 100 million or 120. So how is Leon worth 5 million? It's one of the.
Well, it was probably officially 5 million, and it was probably worth about 30 million under the table.
Sorry, guys. I just got here as fast as I could. I'm worried about the Cambia Rayas doing something drastic. You okay?
He has yet to make an appearance. He's been muted. He's probably still crying.
Is he crying?
You don't want us to hear his sobbing, whimpering noises.
Did he roll and try not to cry and then cry?
He did the what I call the ugly cry, where your face contorts, because you're trying not to cry. He probably froze his face in a position that's really hard for him to talk right now. I think that's.
Now,
we have to worry about both Cambia Rayas.
Yeah, I know, because I was about to say, which Cambia Raya are we talking about right now?
Well, right now I'm talking about Cambia Rayas padre and Cambia Rayas hijo.
Uh-huh.
Has yet to. He would be Cambia Rayitas, I guess. We'd have to.
How you guys doing, man?
Good. Ronnie de Luna in Philadelphia has joined us. It's late. It's already Thursday for Ronnie, and then Daniel Preciado has checked in with us too, out in Oceanside, where it's I'm sure a lovely, comfortable 62 degrees.
John, are you sick?
I am sick. Can you tell I have my radio voice going?
Yeah.
Oh no, here.
Sounds good, man.
I heard that voice and I got scared.
No.
Oh.
Well, the time I get the sniffles, so
yeah.
It's just it's the only perk I get when I'm sick is that I sound like I've been smoking 4 packs a day, which is how a good radio guy gets a voice. They're not doing any exercise. The only exercise they're doing is inhaling cigarettes. Don't let them tell you any different. So, but
all right. So what were the topics for today?
Well, we touched on the Gallos winning their first trophy ever. Kudos to Vucetich for another final. The guy's like 15-1 in finals. It's incredibly impressive, his record.
I know. When you think about it, Tecos, Leon, and he did it when these were very small clubs with very little money.
Yeah, he did it at Puebla and just these crazy places where he won titles. It's insane. Obviously then Monterrey was probably the most prestigious club, but I mean and there, he wins 4 or 5 titles, including league and Conca Champions, and he has one iffy season. And what do? They fire him, and this is after the city named a street after him. So Monterrey, and not only that, but I think that when they opened their new stadium and they brought all of their former glorious players and coaches back, he was the last one that was announced, and he got like a 5-minute standing ovation.
Yeah.
Because the reality is that stadium wouldn't have been built if it wasn't for the success that he brought the team and he brought the club. So, my hat off to the guy. He's one of my favorite coaches, and he totally deserves everything that he gets, and he certainly didn't deserve the way that the FMX treated him after the.
No, that was a slap in the face, man. He did not deserve that.
Yeah, and he even said as much. He's like they not only did they get him, they got rid of me on a phone call. They didn't even have the guts to do it to my face. I'm surprised I didn't get a text. Profe, no vengas hoy, gracias.
Yeah.
No, you should never go back.
And then, so we parlayed that into discussing how just today it was leaked that it could be the end for Mexico's participation in the Copa Libertadores, which of course we're all very sad about.
Yeah.
Although I'm not 100% sure that it's official. I think that it's right now a negotiation ploy more than anything.
Yeah, because I mean, just a couple of days ago, I was reading that America needs one more win, out of the 2 remaining matches to qualify as Mexico 2 for the Copa Libertadores. But I mean, I was just wondering, it's like, what's going to happen? Because I mean, obviously, I want to see, America back in Copa Libertadores, because I, I mean, I don't want to rehash what I said a couple weeks back, but I really miss America playing in the Libertadores.
Right, and I mean, obviously, with Chivas already in, and
And
possibly Cholos, very popular teams.
when was the last time Chivas and America were even in Libertadores at the same time?
That was in '98.
Yeah.
That was the first. That was the first go at it. Because the first time they went, they didn't have the knockout stages. It was straight up Chivas and America, I guess for promotional reasons. And then it was after the '98. That's when they started doing the knockout.
The pre-pre.
The pre-pre, and that's where Monterrey, screwed the pooch, because that was
sounds like a condition that.
No, I was an undergrad student back then at the University of Houston when they used to have the Copa. They called it the Pre-Pre Libertadores, but then Sears picked up the sponsorship and it was la Copa Sears Pre-Pre Libertadores. And they used to have games, in LA and Dallas, but they used to go to Robertson Stadium. I don't know the name of the new stadium at U of H. I haven't really been keeping up with the name.
I believe it's called University of Houston Stadium.
Is that what it's called?
Or Cougar Stadium or something, or probably named after some famous alum. They should call it Akeem Stadium is what they should call it.
Yeah. Well, hey, by the way, have you seen the new Fight Slamma Jamma thing?
I'm sure it's terrific because they were terrific.
Yeah. Okay, I don't want to change something. Yeah, I want to watch it. But someone told me it was really good, fun to watch. But anyhow, no. So they used to have the teams that go there, and I remember the first time I went to Pre Libertadores, it was a double header, and it was, if I remember, it was UNAM, Monterrey, Atlas, and America. Unfortunately, America lost that day, but the two biggest star attractions that day, like all the fans were going crazy for El Turco Mohamed. And what's his name for Pumas? It was Horacio Sanchez. So Hugo Sanchez's nephew.
Ron, didn't he end up playing in like second division Guatemala?
I don't know if he went to Central America. But I do remember reading that son, the one that died a couple years back, Hugo Sanchez Jr. and the cousin were both at odds with Hugo Sanchez, the legend, because according to them, it's like that Hugo didn't really do much for them, or basically just kind of like playing time that they deserved, or they thought they deserved. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, he had. I think Horacio had a more promising career at the beginning. A prospect. I think he was more of a prospect. But
I wonder how he got the gig.
Who's that?
Horacio.
Oh, obviously the name. So I mean, it's funny because it's a double-edged sword. It can open doors, but it can also, bite you.
Yeah. Did you guys see that video though? It was like a former Mexican star, and he's playing in Central America. And
isn't somebody playing in Costa Rica right now?
No.
Yeah,
this was better, dude.
Landin.
Luis Angel Landin.
Yeah.
The ride to the stadium, they jumped in back of a truck.
Oh, that was Carlos. That was Carlos Cobos.
That was Carlos de los Cobos
Carlos
when
de
he was
los Cobos.
coaching. That's how he would scout the team.
Yeah, he was talking, and this is first division. This is a good first division. Well, relatively speaking, in El Salvador, where the guys would go and pick up trucks and But no, yeah, Landin. There was an article a couple weeks back or a week back. you know.
I
And
remember when he went to the Houston Dynamo, they thought that they'd signed like the next coming to Jesus. I mean, they were so excited about the guy. It's like, I was like, really? Are you sure you know what you got there? So he was one of the quemados
yeah,
from Carson, the Carson quemados. He and Torito and Gaucho, they've never been seen or heard from since. Poor guys.
And the other guy retired, Santiago.
Hey, Gauchito,
Yeah.
Gaucho Avila. Hey, what's up, guys? But Gaucho Avila, he got injured a couple years back, so his career is done.
oh, he's here. Oh, he
So,
talks. Oh, he talks.
Speaking of the devil, what's up, guys? I'm sorry, man. Good. My wife did a sad flute.
That flute.
Hey, let me ask you something. So, does the sad flute apply for Jolie?
Nah, man.
No, because Joel he's a self-loathing Chivas fan.
He's numb to it.
He's happy that he's happy. He's happy
He
that he made a loss,
exactly.
right?
He had mixed emotions tonight. You know, he's sad that Chivas lost, but happy that it happened to the management staff.
Yeah. You know, Juan, I wanted to ask you, what's up with Almeida not being able to beat teams that are playing a man down? And the team you actually end up playing worse.
Dude, you know what does a team do? They're a man down. What do you think? Do they venture forward, or do they sit back and?
Querétaro wasn't sitting back though. They were still going balls out.
So I didn't watch the game, but tell me what does a team do?
Chivas looked bad, dude. They looked.
Hey, but didn't Frank correct you? And he said that he beat Santos and Santos had a man down.
When was this?
I don't know. Fern brought up the stat, dude. I'm quoting Fern there. Fern, is he there, Fernando?
The senator has
Cambia raya, hijos.
Cambia rayitas is not here yet.
El senador, por favor, es el senador.
I'll look it up.
You know
Cambia
what,
rayas
though?
hijo.
I think they choked on the penalty.
Well, yeah, I mean, what you missed actually was a master class in gamesmanship by Volpi, the Querétaro goalkeeper. I mean, it was as impressive as what the Dutch goalie did to the Costa Ricans in the World Cup. Just completely took them out of their head, and it worked.
No,
You know, you think that they would be immune to that.
Does he play like? What I heard, I didn't see the game.
Trust me when I tell you
the
that it was a master class in gamesmanship because I watched it happen.
So what I heard is that
Yeah.
he had the game of his life today.
He did. He had two saves that looked spectacular, but they really weren't because they kicked it right at him. But he did have one that was really impressive, and then it was on a corner kick, and that it was probably the play of the game. There's no question. But but the penalty kicks were him just totally getting into the head of the Chivas players, and you would think that that Almeida's Jedi mind tricks would be strong enough for the players to withstand such a devious move into the dark arts, but it turns out that it did not. In fact, the last guy that missed that gave the trophy to Querétaro was Alan Pulido, who the guy said, "You're going to kick it over here. You're going to kick it over here," and he did, and he hit the post. Which Pulido took a sad selfie afterwards to.
With Jolie, I imagine.
Hey,
Yeah.
Chivas didn't beat a Santos team with 10 players. Santos actually had 9 players. They had two red cards. So.
Well, there you have it.
So you're right, Joel.
See, it's kind of, I don't know, man. For Cambiarrayas to be going for Pern for stats, it's a new low.
You mean a correct stat?
It wasn't.
Correct stat.
It was a correct stat compared to yours.
It
No,
wasn't.
it wasn't, dude. It was 2 players down, not 1 player now.
You know,
Oh.
that almost deserves the sad food just because, you know. But
Hey,
yeah,
I don't think. Yeah, they should have. Because I'm watching the game and I see I
Yeah,
forgot the dude's
I like
name.
how Jolie he splits hairs when it's convenient.
What? Wait, no, look, I'm seeing the game and I see this. It's just a boneheaded move by the Querétaro player. I forget his name, but he does a headbutt, and I'm like, and I even put it in the chat. I put this guy just handed Chivas the championship, and then I remembered like Chivas actually plays worse when the team goes down a player because they were
Yeah.
playing
right.
pretty
So the
good.
guy didn't
They were playing pretty good up until that point. So I mean, I was hoping Chivas would win, but I don't know, man.
It's an interesting
That's
phenomenon
just how
because
it
that happens
goes.
with Osorio as well. Whenever the other team goes a man down, and it's not just. I mean, you see it a lot. It's just teams. I don't necessarily think they bunker down, but they're just a lot more cautious with how they. Obviously, they defend a lot better, and then they take their chances, and a lot of times they catch teams out.
But yeah, I agree.
Look, when you're facing a superior team, or you have a man down or more, you don't take as many risks with the ball. You don't push your lines forward, so you limit the space behind your defense. You try to limit the shots that they take at your goalie, or if they're gonna take shots, they gotta be from far away. So I think it's perfectly logical that most teams, and not just Almeida, if you look across the league, most teams are gonna struggle to beat a team with a man down, unless like they go a man down like after a penalty situation, where they're already up 1-0.
No, I think it's being
So, but
I think it's being a mental midget, man. If you when you, you
no, dude,
when
you
you
have
go
to
when you go
you have
against a
to
team that's a
understand
man
how a
down,
defense is organized there.
no, but when you
You
go
call
when
it
you go
a
when you go against a team that has a man down, a lot of teams automatically think a goal is coming. It's just a matter of time, and then they don't play up to the level that they were playing maybe, or with the intensity that should be, and they don't score. So it's a mental thing as well.
What to me the mental midgetry is when you have a team with a better technical quality. They're basically better in every way. They mentally they don't believe in it. That's to me when you have a team that's mentally weak or mental midget.
So are you? Is Almeida? Is he not the chosen one anymore?
I wouldn't say he's not the chosen one. I mean, you're not gonna win every final you're in unless you're.
Vucetic happens to win every final he's in.
Yes. Well, if you let me finish talking, John.
The sauce is a very naughty boy.
Yeah, unless you're Vucetic, I guess he wins every final he's in. But why don't they give him the Mexican national team then? And let's see what he can do with those guys.
I think that unfortunately for Vucetic and for really more for Mexico, I think that ship sailed.
Yeah.
Takes the blame for Chicharito whiffing on an open net.
Yeah.
Hey Juan, I got a question for you though. Why did Almeida insist on putting his B team out there these last two games? In order to lean.
You know what it is, man. I didn't see the game now, but if you look at it, if you got a team, for example, in this tournament, the CopaMX, what is it designed for? It's designed to give exposure, give playing time to your B team, right?
But his B team are all the big money signings.
Well,
Pulido, Gallito, Hulit.
I know that, but that's merit.
Alanis, Pereira. I mean, just go down the list.
Michael Perez. Look at how Orbelín Pineda, Saldivar, Cisneros, how these guys are playing. It's not that that he's playing fair. Is that those guys are keeping these signings on the bench? And you know what? I think as a manager, Almeida couldn't wish for a better situation than having that type of internal competition. Now back to Beto's question, why would he do that? Because this tournament is to prepare that team. Now you might say, hey, he's pissing away this tournament. And you can look at it that way, but to me that shows the depth in Chivas. And I mean, where else is Gullit, gonna get playing time?
Hey, but Juan, there's also a lot of pressure to have these guys. Ultimately, they're not paying all that money, and especially in wages, to have these guys playing the Copa or to be in bench.
But they just fell short. They just proved to you that they're not ready to win a championship. So I think if I'm the manager, even if you say if there's pressure, well, here you go. Show me that there's pressure, and they just showed that they're not the quality.
You know what it's like? It's like if you're a Chivas fan and you go see a show and you're expecting this.
All right, what do you get?
You get this instead.
Hey, Juan, like when you talk about pressure, are you talking like laces out type of pressure?
Laces out. Wait, is that your experience with that Transformer?
No.
That's you were a pet detective, right? That's when you played. You were the pet detective.
Yeah.
Oh shit, man.
Hey, one thing. One comment though on going to the red card on that guy. What Pocho Ponce did was actually pretty great. He trolled that dude. He got him to headbutt him, and he got him rejected. And I think I was telling Joel last night when we were talking that that's what. Because I was watching the German repeat game of one of the U.S. players. I forget what. Oh, Bobby Wood. He got trolled just the same exact thing, and he did an elbow to the guy, and he got ejected, and they lost the game. 2 goals were immediately scored once he was ejected, and that's what Mexico needs to do. They need to reverse the role on the U.S. and start trolling them that way, and getting them upset and frustrated, because usually it's the other way around, where Rafa gets upset or something happens where Mexico screws up.
You know what, Chiquis? We see it not only the U.S., we see it with other teams, Central American teams, where they do a lot of stunts like that. And I just think it's not in.
Playing Dodge Gancho, huh?
I just don't think it's in the Mexican football culture, where you have a player like Picolín that knows how to do that, and he gets vilified. And in other places, he would be he'd just be like a folk hero, man. So,
yeah, I guess you have to have the right attitude. And I'm trying to think of players that
we also have this mentality that we're like.
Yeah, but I don't think they need to resort to stuff like that to win a game. Frankly.
No, but it helps throwing some players out of their game.
Yeah, but let's face it. The one team that Mexico is never going to win the mental battle against is going to be the U.S. It's
I think it has to do, and I think it's because of, and I think it's because of the press.
Well, it's the press, and it's also it's the pressure. It's the one game that Mexican players just absolutely, categorically have to win, and they don't handle that very well. They never have. Or their fans or whatever. And the U.S. knows this, and then the U.S. takes full advantage of it, and they always have, and they should.
Wait, I was going to say, before Juan rudely interrupted me, part of it. Also, part of it is that we have that mentality that we're vastly superior to the other region, to the other teams. So we have to beat them by playing, by outplaying them, by being more fancy, and some games is win at all costs, not just try to play silky.
But the fan base, they're not ready for that. They're not ready for win at all costs against CONCACAF.
I mean,
You know?
look at the River Plate Tigres games. How those games played. I mean, what did River Plate do to Tigres? They just tore them to pieces physically. Just foul after foul after foul after foul after foul. Totally took Tigres out of their game, and then River Plate, sensed that, and they pounced and they won 3-0.
I used to I had read the interview from Muñeco Gallardo, the coach for River, and he was talking about how surprised he was when they arrived to Tigres Stadium, how calm they seemed, and it's crazy because I was talking to some friends from Argentina, and they were all worried. They all thought Tigres was gonna. They didn't see themselves as favorites, which surprised me.
That's gonna be a difference. Be a difference in the style of refereeing you have in the Mexican League
Joel.
to the South American League, because in Mexico, the Mexican refs they're not gonna allow that much hacking to go on, because the league it's a league with more money. They're there to entertain more the spectator. So you're gonna lose viewers on the TV if they're just if you have the flow of the game disrupted by having that type of play.
Joel,
So I think the referees is what's holding back that style, Jolie.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, man. I mean, analyze it. Look at it.
But
look at the way they referee games.
Going back to what you were saying, Joel, though, about what Muñeco Gallardo was saying.
Yeah.
If you go back, if you watch the pregame, I'm sure you could probably find it on YouTube. If you go back to the pregame of Pumas Boca Juniors in the 2005 final in the Copa Sudamericana, the announcers, the RG announcers on Fox Sports could not believe how calm and just the players from Pumas were. I mean, they were just like they were listening to cumbias. They were just jamming, and they could not.
What are they supposed to be doing? What are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to be like sitting there in a corner, like biting their nails?
Well, I'm thinking
knuckling it.
There's two ways to interpret that. There's two ways to interpret that. I think one is that they think, hey,
the players at River Plate and even they're not even getting paid on time. So of course they're not gonna afford their TV in the locker room.
I think
it's two leagues with totally different financial states. The Mexican league, dude, it has money.
I think that's not really the way you're supposed to be looking at it, at least from the announcer's point of view.
No, what you're trying to say is what you're insinuating is the Mexican player doesn't have heart, or the players in the Mexican league.
It's that the South American announcer. That the South American announcer is probably just shocked because that the Mexican teams go in there and they're not scared. Keep in mind, Mexican teams, they can go to the Bombonera and get a point or get 3 points. They can go to the Monumental and beat River Plate in Argentina. They can go beat Flamengo in the Maracanã. They can go and beat Colo Colo over there in their stadium. So
not anymore.
What's that? Well, not the last 5 or whatever years, but remember when the Mexican teams were taking it serious. I mean, they were going into tough places. They were going into very tough. They were going into tough places and getting tough and wins. And a lot of the announcers, they were like, there's a reason why, for many years during the Copa Libertadores, time, that they didn't like the Ecuadorians, the Colombians, the Paraguayans, the Peruvians, that they didn't like the Mexican teams in their tournament. Because
they were losing a spot to them too, weren't they?
Exactly.
Well, not necessarily, because they expanded the tournament to include spots.
Well, they took a spot away from them, right? That was open.
No, because they expanded the tournament. I mean, the tournament used to be 16 teams, and then expanded to 24 to add the Mexican team. So they added. No one specifically lost a spot. They just added more spots for certain countries.
But so no, I don't think you're I don't think the take is that, oh, look at them, they don't take it serious. No, it's that, oh shit, these guys, they're not scared of us.
Well, that's why they cheated them with a referee, the questionable referee.
Oh hell yeah!
And the last minute rule changes,
Yeah, I mean.
Speaking of referees, the referee that was chosen for the Mexico-U.S. match was the cat out of Guatemala.
Beltran or Beltran or
I thought it was like Gonzalez.
It should be Geiger, man.
No, it's it should be the guy from is it El Salvador, who's just a really good ref. He's just a solid ref.
What's the name?
Oh, speaking of Guatemala, aren't they suspended? I thought their whole federation was suspended.
Yeah, dude, they're suspended.
Does that include the refs too?
Good question.
Because I thought that entire federation was suspended.
Suspended. They are.
Oh, all right. Why? And it's funny and if you think about it, I was, when I was reading this, I'm thinking they got suspended. The entire federation got suspended because the owners don't want to basically release. It was I read two things. One was that they didn't want to disclose certain documents, and the other one was that they didn't want to update or basically follow up with the new protocols of how they're supposed to administer the federation. And I just thought that was interesting because, I mean, if you think about it, the Mexican League, the Mexican Federation, there are certain things that technically we aren't supposed to be doing because it goes against, FIFA's, codes and bylaws. So I'm just wondering why they are getting in trouble and the FMF is not.
Why do you think that is?
Money. There's too much money that FIFA makes from Mexico.
Exactly. One thing I want to end with, at least I'm going to end with, y'all can obviously continue to do what you want, but I'm going to step off here in a second, was Cup is coming down. The bidding is open, and there's speculation that there might be a joint bid between, whether it's the U.S. and Canada, U.S. and Mexico, or they're going to do separate bids, whatever it is. I have a sneaky feeling if they expand the tournament to 40 teams or 48 teams or whatever it is, that it's actually going to be all three countries. I think it's going to be Mexico, Canada, and the U.S.
I hope not. No. I mean, I'm okay with Mexico, Canada, whatever.
Suck, man.
I'm okay with that. I mean, my thing is I don't want to get it expanded to 40, man. I don't want to get it watered down.
It will be watered down.
What's that?
Yeah, I agree with you, Ron.
They have
like the Portugal China game where they had 7-0 results.
I mean, if they expand it to 8, so you're thinking out of those 8 teams, you think that South America will get one, CONCACAF will get one, Asia will get one.
No, they want to give more to Africa.
4 more.
New Zealand will probably get one.
Oh, yeah, Oceania will probably get a full place final. So that's 5, and then 3 more European teams. That's what it's going to be.
No, but the votes are in Asia and Africa, and that's who's lobbying to get more teams.
Well, I would be okay with giving Africa another team, just because I think that they play better soccer, but Asia and the rest.
I mean, how many does Asia get right now? Like 3?
Or 3 or 4. I forget what it is. It's enough. It's definitely enough. So I mean, because I know that the Eurocopa in 2020 is going to be played in 8 or 9 different countries. So I just have a feeling that that's going to be the way of the future. That's going to be how FIFA gets around. It's, you don't have to build 18 stadiums.
So a
Also,
lot of
because
co-hosting, John.
And in addition to that, I mean, like it's like take a look at the U.S. Yeah, there's a lot of stadiums here. No one denies that. But Arlington has a gigantic AT&T logo on the top of it, field turf. So if they want those 90,000 seats, who's going to pay AT&T to take that AT&T logo off, and who's going to make sure that the grass is good quality? Like if they're going to have 4 or 5 games there, that it doesn't have.
I don't think they need to take it off. I think they just don't show it.
Oh, believe me, they will take it off. They took it off the Allianz Arena.
That is true.
Take it off.
They changed the name of it too.
Yeah.
It'll be Arlington Stadium or whatever it is.
In Germany, they were known as the World Cup Stadium in in Munich or whatever. The only stadiums that got to keep their names were the ones that were named like after people, like in Kaiserslautern, it was the Fritz whatever stadium. So I mean, and going back, and in fact, this was in the there was in a book written by Juan Dosal. I think that's where I read it, when they were talking about the '86 process of how Mexico got the World Cup, and it was a young FIFA executive, Sepp Blatter, a younger, he was a vice president at the time. He wasn't the president.
He was only like 70, right, at the time.
He was only 70.
He was in his mid-80s.
They in parentheses, he quoted him saying that that his concern was going to Joe Robbie Stadium and not getting the sponsors out off the stadium. So right off the bat, Canada didn't have the stadium, the stadiums to host the World Cup. The U.S. had everything, but they didn't have assurances from the sponsors and the NFL owners at the time.
Wait, which World Cup is this? 86 or 70?
When Colombia said, hey, in 86, when Colombia declined, said that they couldn't do it because the thing about it, Colombia kind of got screwed because when they applied, it was still a 16.
The U.S. also got screwed because they had made a strong bid to host it. And they should have gotten it over Mexico, because Mexico had just hosted.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, and that's what I'm saying, is that Sepp Blatter was saying that his concern was going into like Joe Robbie Stadium in Miami and not being able to control the stadiums or get the advertisers off of the stadium facilities, and that's one thing that Mexico, the Mexican Federation. They had assurances not only from the Mexican Federation, the president of the country at the time. They're saying that, whatever you need or whatever you want us to do, we'll do. And
you know what? There's this book. It's written by David Yallop. He's an investigative reporter. He was, I don't know if you guys remember, he was one of the dudes that kept hounding Jack Warner.
Yeah.
And he wrote he was already calling the corruption way back when. You're talking about almost 20 years ago.
And that's the thing that cracks me up is that people think that this Infantino guy is a reformer. Man, I guarantee you that he's going to be just as crooked, if not more so, than the rest of them. I mean, let's be honest. That's it's already started. He already said that racism's over. That it doesn't exist in the world of soccer anymore. So we don't have to do any of that anymore. It's done. So, but anyway, so there's obviously the sponsor issue is big. The field turf is big too. I mean, they had CopaMX where they laid down, and some of those stadiums they're toward the end. I mean, it was unplayable, and all those big NFL stadiums that they just fawn over. Most of them have that field turf on them, and it's not that's going to be an issue. And the same thing happens in Canada. I mean, they're big. For CFL, those have field turf on them too. So that's why I think that it's going to be a joint bid, and then and if it's not a joint bid, that's where Mexico has a huge advantage. Is that they, their stadiums, they don't have to do anything to them. No, they've already been in the process of remodeling Azteca. They have the beautiful new stadium in Monterrey. They have a beautiful one in Guadalajara. They probably, they could use the one in Aguascalientes, which is gorgeous. But there are plenty of stadiums that are available.
But John,
names on most of them, right?
But John, here's the thing, here's my thing. Also, John, which there's a minimum seating capacity, and like for example, the Toluca, it's getting remodeled, won't pass.
Right.
The one in Pachuca won't pass. Santos Torreon won't pass. Aguascalientes won't pass. That minimum city.
Santos stadium is pretty new, isn't it?
It's new. It's a beautiful.
45,000 minimum right there.
And honestly, I think that's stupid. Because I remember in South Africa there were Germany on the other hand, every game that I went to sold out. Not the case in South Africa. And I remember there were times where like half of the stadium was and this was during the group stages, not the knockout, but
were you blowing on the vuvuzelas, Ronnie?
Dude, that was so fucking annoying, dude. Those goddamn vuvuzelas.
So because of that, and that's why I think that there's there's a really good chance that it's going to be a joint bid. I can see in the new Monterrey Stadium, obviously Estadio Azteca, and the Guadalajara Stadium.
Who gets the final?
That's that's going to be obviously I don't think Canada would get it. It would come down to either the Rose Bowl, Washington, or the Azteca.
Wait, John, they're building a new stadium in LA. So I don't know.
Yeah, but that's probably going to be field turf.
That's where LA Sports Arena used to be.
No. The football stadium.
It's going to have a roof on it.
But you know what? I had read one of the
That's where the sports arena used to be, Jolie.
No, I'm talking about the NFL. I'm talking about
right. That's what it's
sports arena.
It's the same place. It's the same LA Sports Arena.
There's going to be a small stadium for Los Angeles Football Club.
I'm talking
about the Rams.
Is a new stadium
I'm talking about the Rams
Forum.
Stadium.
Oh, you said football or football? That's my bad.
Pointy ball.
That's going to be an Inglewood.
But I had read they were already keeping that in mind about using it to host the World Cup when they were propositioning the stadium building for right here in Los Angeles, and they actually have that in mind. I don't know if this stadium still does, but I know that.
Here we go, Galaxy! Here we go!
Yeah. So, just food for thought. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it wouldn't surprise me if it did. And if the Eurocopa is going to go that way, then it would. I think it would. And then that way they don't have to worry about spending $30 billion on stadiums. That way, they can just use the existing structures, as it should be. Personally, I don't think it should. They should have to build some. I'm with Ronnie. You don't have to do build stadiums at all. I watched the World Cup in Brazil, and it could have been in France or Italy. Those stadiums had no character at all. They had nothing. They looked like just your average. Remember in the 70s when Cincinnati and Philadelphia and Pittsburgh and I forget what they all had when St. Louis had stadiums that look exactly like things.
Yeah, the Three Rivers and
that's what those stadiums reminded me in Brazil, and it's such a shame because I'm sure that like the stadiums that they should have played in, like the ones that are already existing, I'm sure have a ton of character and would have been perfect. There'd been nothing wrong with them.
No.
They had to have an elevator for Sepp Blatter if he deemed that game worthy of me coming to go see it.
With the money that they make, they really don't need every stadium to be 40,000. They don't. They make it in other ways, and I think that's just so stupid because you're right. They shouldn't be building stadiums just for 3 games or 4 games. That are played, at these World Cup stadiums because.
Isn't that where John said? I remember John mentioning that's where the money was at, though.
Well, yeah, that's where you.
But I think that's starting to go. Yeah. But that's going to go away. I think that's. Realizing that should.
You know what, John? You know what, John? That is true, and I've mentioned this before, Real Sports, but there's other documentaries that I've seen on that's true in first world countries like Norway and stuff like that, where they're like saying, hell no, we're not going to host the Winter Olympics anymore, because the IOC was demanding, they wanted to have
ridiculous amount of ridiculous stuff being built. Yeah.
Yes. So what what organizations like the IOC and FIFA are doing is they're saying, okay, we know we're not going to be able to get away with this in countries like the United States, like Western democracies.
Right.
So
why you're seeing Russia, Qatar,
exactly, because they're
being Honduras.
Yeah.
Shit.
Thank God for cough buttons. Yeah, so I mean, that's what I'm saying. If they want to go that direction, then I think Mexico has a bit ahead of them, because they say, hey, we do need to build. I can think of, León needing a new stadium. You just go down the list, and there's plenty of places that could a state of the art stadium in Cancun.
Well, Puebla
has
Puebla has a capacity, and they just remodeled theirs.
Oh, it's beautiful. I mean, and there, it goes counterclockwise like it's supposed to in the Northern Hemisphere. It's just absolutely stunning. Very weird. Yeah. It's a very weird stadium.
Although it looks like a goddamn shower curtain around it, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's bizarre. Yeah. So, well, folks, are y'all going to continue? Because I'm going to go ahead and step off.
All right, John. Hope you feel better, man.
All right, John.
All right, gentlemen. Well, thank you all for listening. I'm sure that these guys will continue, but I will pick it up with you all next week.
Later, man. Thanks for coming on.
Chiquis is now hosting the Desmadre Hour.
I want to hear a hot take from Dan. Dan's been quiet.
Anything goes Wednesdays. No, Ron, I was telling you about David Yalop. Was he wrote a book, and it's called How They Stole the Game. And he was talking about all the corruption that was going on, and he talked about how Mexico got the bid for the '86 World Cup, and he says that while they were having the meeting, that Henry Kissinger was the one he was doing a presentation for the U.S. The stadiums and everything, and that the MexXX came, and they just met behind closed doors with dude, what was his name?
Avalanche.
Yeah, Joao Avalanche, and just sealed the deal, man. And this guy's still making a case to host the World Cup, which they needed because North American Soccer League was beginning to lose. They were trying to secure TV contracts.
Yeah, I remember that. I read an article about that. It's kind of it's kind of funny how everything just blew over, like 2 months, or when was it, last year when the whole FIFA thing or FBI thing went down?
Yeah, and all over all because of that dude Blazer, man. Hey, you were asking me the other day about who was the agent along with Hurtado.
Yeah.
And I just remembered, dude, Guillermo Lara.
Oh yeah.
It just popped to my head, dude. I was driving and I was like,
hey, did you watch the interview that David Falkeson had with Billy Alvarez from Cruz Azul?
Wait, no.
And it was a thing like Falkeson was basically naming, like saying one word, like he'd say something, and like he would say Club America, un rival, he would say like a rival, like a word association type of game. So when he said Carlos Hurtado, and then Alvarez thought about it, and he says, "It's an urban legend."
Oh man.
That's what he said. That was his answer. It's an urban legend. Did you read the did you watch read or watch Martin's video blog about Cruz Azul, how at the rate they're going they could be the next Necaxa Atlante?
Yeah, it seems a bit exaggerated.
Yeah, I thought that was a little bit exaggerated because you know the fact that the word Cruz Azul means that you screw up royally, but you have to get to the point of you have to get to a final to screw it up, and that in itself is still success.
Yeah, because look at Atlas.
Yeah.
Dude, even Querétaro just won a title over there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying you still have to put yourself in a position to win, and Cruz Azul, believe it or not, has done that. Although the last 2 years, I understand they haven't made the playoffs. I understand that, but
that's what I was going to say. They're screwing up in lower levels nowadays.
But
yeah. But to take away these 2 years, it's a team that has consistently been fighting championships. They've been getting to semifinals. They've been getting to finals, and they're consistently in there. So I think what's the name is exaggerating. Martinez is exaggerating in that sense. However, here's where I don't agree with Martin, because there's a reason why Necaxa and Atlante not only left Mexico City and lost their fan base. Keep in mind, Necaxa, for 8 years, they didn't exist. They didn't exist, when the league went professional. So right off the bat, they lost their fan base. And then they tried to get cute. When they came back a couple of years later, like in the 70s, they changed their name. They wanted to become more. They wanted to improve their color chart and
more European.
Yeah. And they wanted to attract the European crowds, and they called themselves Atlético Español. And that didn't work out. And then
is that when you became a fan of them?
No, but touching on that, Ronnie, the FMF, because just a few years back, FMF was still very centralized. Yeah. And that's when they started to expand. So they used these two teams to test out markets. And they sent Atlante to Cancun, and they sent Necaxa to San Luis, which is kind of messed up. I think these teams would have survived if they played in smaller stadiums. Yeah. Necaxa had no business playing in Azteca.
No, they didn't. But and it's funny because people always blame Televisa. That Televisa is the one that screwed these teams up, and that's not true, because Televisa, Necaxa was owned before Televisa bought it. They had bought it from somebody else. Within like a 4 year span, that thing had changed ownerships like twice, if I recall correctly. Atlante, on the other hand, also changed the ownerships, because at one point they were owned by the Social Security Administration.
A lot of these teams were going bankrupt.
Yeah,
that's one of the things that doesn't get mentioned a lot. And Chivas went bankrupt. It's part of the reason they got bought. Promotora took over, and then they got bankrupt again, and that's how Vergara came in and bought them. Atlas had also lost money. They eventually lost all their money, and now they're owned by Televisa. Monterrey, they were pretty much being used to launder money. So you had all these teams that were. So it's kind of crazy to see how Liga MX is still going strong. Yeah. And you had all these big teams just, León, dude. León went bankrupt and they got bought. I was telling these guys earlier, they got bought out for like $5 million.
Yeah. And before Slim went in, a group of investors that was being led by Davino's, the older Davino who used to play for León. He was trying to buy the club from the old hotel strip joint owner. What's his name? Cermeño. And you know what? But going back to what you said earlier about Querétaro winning their first title, the first trophy that they've ever lifted. I think that's it's sad. I mean, I'm happy for them, but in a way, it's like it's sad that a big city in Mexico with such a long story is lifting their first cup. This is a city that at one point had 3 teams in the first division. At one point, they had Los Gallos. They had Atlético Campesino, which, if I recall, I think that was Beto's. I think that isn't that the team that you used to follow, or your family used Atlético Campesinos?
Yeah, Campesinos, man.
Yeah.
Not sure if trolling.
That one and the Indios. The Indios.
The Campesinos, yeah, man, but that was good stuff.
No, but see that's what it's lacking. How you're saying, like even in Guadalajara, there was way more teams that were active. There was at least like 5 teams at one point.
Yeah.
And the FA, which I think it's like the strongest venue, should have more teams. Still, like even Nesa, which technically is not the FA, but it's very close.
It's close by. It's exactly.
Yeah.
Because you had Atlante, you had Necaxa, you had Atlante, Necaxa, you had América, Cruz Azul, UNAM, you had Toros Nesa. I mean,
yeah.
right off the bat, that's 6. And then you had Toluca, which is about an hour, less than an hour or an hour away.
And they never hyped or made rivalries between these teams, which would have made for really great games. And for some reason, they just didn't concentrate, or they didn't know how to work those angles.
I think the owner for Atlante, what's the name? Garcés. He made Jose Maria. I forget his name. Cochonel. I forget his name. The owner.
Wait, the current owner wasn't it the Burrillo Azcárraga?
Well, yeah, it was him and the other guy. He was also the FMF.
He had the T-shirts, the jerseys.
Yeah, Garcés. I think Garcés. He made a comment a couple years back saying that that one of the reasons that teams come and go in Mexico is that everybody that comes in thinking that they know how to run a football club because they think they run a business or they know about business, think that it's the same. And he said no, they don't know how to run a football club because it's completely different. And for the most part, the fans, one of the reasons why they end up always going back to the big 4 of Cruz Azul, América, the big 4, is because fans usually from the provinces and even in the major metropolitan areas is that they've gone for many years. They've always gone accustomed to their local teams screwing them over, because they change venues, they change franchises, they change identities.
Names. Yeah,
exactly. And technically, I mean, and for the last since the 1960s, really, the 4 teams that have been the most consistent, América, Chivas, forget titles, consistency that they at least put themselves in a position to win, because right now the only teams that have not been relegated, Cruz Azul, since they've gone up to the first division, Toluca hasn't been relegated. Toluca, Cruz Azul, UNAM, América, Chivas. Santos hasn't been relegated, but they came in 1988. They believe it or not, for them, they've actually had since they started, they've had quite a bit of success. Santos.
And you know what? All those that you're mentioning, Tijuana is a great example because Tijuana, they were Inter Tijuana, they were Nacional Tijuana, they were Chivas Tijuana, and it wasn't until they became Cholos Tijuana and just reached out more to their local community, and they've been just consistent. That team has managed to to
Yeah.
to become a staple, you could say,
Yeah.
in Liga MX.
You're right about that, and I think, to me, I still question the Ron family as to how liquid they are and how viable they're going to be in the future. I mean, the jury's still out right now. They're doing a good job, and I think the strategy of going after, Mexican American players, I think that works to their advantage. I'm still very skeptical, and I think that's just me being that's by nature. I guess I am skeptical. But I just think that you really, at the end of the day, you really can't blame the fan too much as to why they keep going back to the Big Four, is because they've been screwed over so many times by their local teams that it's
Veracruz. Remember Veracruz, Ron, when they had two teams, one playing in second division, because they got relegated, and then they bought a franchise, and their fan base was split down the middle between the ones that wanted to be faithful to the original team and the ones that wanted to see.
It's like, because one was playing as Veracruz and the other one was playing as Tiburones Rojos. But then when Veracruz, the real team, the one that actually had the history, all right, guys, I'm in the first division. You guys gotta get out of my room now. It was one of those,
That was almost gonna be Guadalajara. They got relegated. You would have Chivas. Chivas playing in prison.
And then you have cases like Unión de Cortidores, where they win the promotion, and then the fans are all happy, and then next thing you know, the owners are like, oh shit, because they know that if they go to the first division, it's a hell of an investment, and they're going to lose it. So what do? They sell it.
What's it, Puebla? Did it become Puebla?
I believe you're right. Yeah, I think they did become Puebla. I think
they could stay in first division.
Yeah.
I think that the FMF is to blame. I think they screwed the pooch there, and they just kind of killed a lot of fan bases by allowing things like that. And it's why second division, especially in Mexico, should be stronger than it is. And
it is, but I've always said that the press. I'm not saying that they should be cheerleaders. They should not be cheerleaders, and I don't expect them to be. But to me, I've always thought it was really stupid on their part to belittle the lower divisions, because these idiots are trying to compare the lower divisions as like if they're supposed to be the quality of the Champions League, and that's not what the lower divisions are about. If you think about it, the United States, look at how they market the Little League World Series. We're talking about 12-year-old kids. Think of how they market high school football, or high school basketball. Think of how they market, college football, college, basketball, college baseball, college soccer. And it's like, and I'm thinking, have these idiots they could market it. It's to their benefit and to their advantage for them to market this, because one, it's more sports for that could be played, more exposure, but even for the press, it's more work, more jobs for them.
Yeah. And you know what, Ron? There's a lot of teams currently that not too long ago they were all second division rivals. Tijuana, León, Pachuca, Querétaro, all these teams that are doing pretty good right now, they were all second division not too long ago. And there is some really good teams right now, historic teams in second divisions. We already mentioned them: Necaxa, Atlante.
Necaxa's coming up, yeah.
Necaxa came up already. Forgot. Irapuato, you got Irapuato.
You have La Piedad, you have Tampico Madero, you have a bunch of these teams, that have but when the press, when they refer to the lower divisions, and more to the point, second division, like hell, infierno, el calvario, they use those type of words like hell, or going back to the and they belittle it. And I think the fans capture this, or they take that's like, it's going to be a crap quality, so they don't invest themselves heavily into it. And like I put myself in the position of the fan that, okay, well, and I also try to put myself in the position of the owners of these lower divisions, is that both of them don't really want to commit because both of them are scared to commit to each other. Because, one, as an owner, you'd think is like, these guys are going to, they're going to go support, Chivas anyhow, and the fans is like, well, I'd rather support Cruz Azul or America or whatever, because at least I know that they're going to be there. And I think, sadly, like I said, the press has a little bit to do with that, and I think that's wrong, and I think that they should change it, and I think they should market it. Like right now, I'm glad that CopaMX is going on, and I'm glad that the second division teams are scrapping it out with the first division teams. Although the format needs to change.
I was telling John, it's one of the reasons I didn't mind Gallos Blancos winning it, because even if the cup's not that much of a big deal, it still helps. It still helps bring, especially because you have like little kids, and they get to see the team win the championship, so it's more meaningful to them, and those are gonna be your fans, that your next generation fans.
They're too busy watching Real Madrid though, and Barcelona.
But you know what?
No. Wait. Let me just answer that. You might see it on TV, but it's not the same as going to the stadium, dude. It doesn't compare.
Yeah, I get you.
And with these new teams building these nicer stadiums and having a nicer stadium experience, I think that they could somewhat. You're still going to have those plastic fans that are going to go and watch Real Madrid no matter what, but I'm looking like every other day. I keep track of what Toluca is doing, because now obviously you guys know that I'm in architecture school, and obviously I look at designs and stuff like that. I really I'm liking like what Santos is doing, because I think they're going to go through their second phase of remodeling or upgrading their stadium or their facilities.
Hey, in the stadium they're playing at right now, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Hey, so you think facilities are a vital aspect of a club nowadays?
I think the stadium. Well, yes and no. Yes and no. It's not going to make you or break you, as far as like I mean, let's face it. I mean, you can Qatar and those those Gulf-rich countries. I mean, they can spend millions and billions of dollars. Like the Chinese companies, they spend billions of dollars in their team. But if you don't have that culture of soccer, it doesn't mean shit.
Yeah. Hey, so switching topics, if you guys want to. I wanted to ask you guys on what you thought or what you guys think of the national team list coming out tomorrow, I believe, if not Friday. And the rumors I hear are that Osorio is calling up every single European, and even Salcedo.
Beto, to be brutally honest, man, I've lost all faith in Osorio. That it's like reading about who he's calling. It's like, to me, is irrelevant, because I just think that he's going to play them wrong, or play them out of position wrong, or I at this point I don't
There seems to be an air of confidence going on, that he's going to actually get a good result, that Mexico's going to actually change history and beat the Del Sacerdo and actually do something positive. But then talking to you guys, when John was on, it was like, okay, the mentality's still not there. You guys were talking about how, we don't play those tactics, like trying to troll them into, headbutting or doing something that dumb to get a red card. Well, then, we're just going to go in there and lose again, 2-0.
Honestly, Beto, a Mexican player succumbs to that, or goes into that and starts trolling and they get caught or whatever, it's just gonna be more bad press. At this point, Ivan Osorio is win the game tactically. Win and build from that. But I wouldn't consider this as okay, boom, my job is I'm safe now. Because at the end of the day, whether you beat the United States or not in the qualifiers, that doesn't mean that that doesn't mean shit, man. There's 10 games in the qualifiers. One game's not gonna matter.
Yeah, Ron, he's still gonna be judged on how the team plays, how it looks. So with the whole 2-0, it's been 4 straight 2-0 losses. So we're just bound to break that that routine, and so even if we were to tie or edge out a win, they're still going to be judging him heavily on how the team looks.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, hey.
Well, if he wins, I think he's gonna stay on for a few more games. Like you said, there are 10 games or whatever, so he could still fail down the road. But if he wins, he's gonna stay on. As opposed to him losing, he might be gone, like we were all predicting, before November's over. He'll be gone. But
so this is the first match of the Hex. It's what is it? The first 5 games. What, Mexico plays 3 on the road, right?
It's just, I'm thinking about it now, and it's like he's bringing the players that they crashed and burned against Chile, and he had the 2 friendlies, and those would have been his teams to. If he's gonna play those, then he should have called them up for the friendlies to. They could have worked on stuff that he felt the team could improve on. So what was the point of bringing up all these other guys? That's why I was saying in the other podcast, I would just stay with the guys he already practiced with.
And these guys are the same guys that failed, and that's why I was saying, like on Twitter, I posted, like, don't even start Hector Moreno. I don't like that guy for some reason. Because during the Chile game,
is it his fashion?
His fashion, well, that's a part, but yeah, that's another thing. But
you don't like his Instagram, Beto?
His Instagram gets on my nerves.
Not enough shirtless.
His Capri jeans and stuff. But anyway, his defense was horrible in against Chile. And like you said, he didn't get this friendly to get some, gets back into some rhythm with the team and everything. And I could see the U.S. just owning him again.
Thinking about it, they haven't met. They haven't met to be like. It might be like an awkward seeing each other again. It's like if you slept with the gordiwapa, dude, and then you have to see her in class the next day, and you don't want to.
Yeah, these dudes need to be held accountable for that 7-0. I think Salcedo and Montes should be in the defense and dump all these other players. And then if Pulisic is on the right side, then their left back needs to be ready to go, and whether that's Layun or whoever, because that dude's got some speed.
Yeah, because you haven't seen this group in months, and you haven't gotten together, and they're probably, they don't want to be in another situation like that. So how much are they going to trust his tactics, which is one of the things I pointed out in one of the older podcasts about something Menotti said about when you're coaching a team. And he said one of the things that you have to do is get the players to believe in your idea, so that when things go bad, they're gonna fight for it. And so I felt he hasn't won them over, and then he lost them, and nothing has happened for him to try to win them back. and then to have the big game as the next test, it just seems like a recipe for disaster. Which to me, I would have just stayed with, just get a new group, man. You know, you could eventually bring them back in, but at least go with these players that are more hungry and are gonna go more all out because the spotlight's on them now.
Yeah, I agree. But even in the last friendly, like the defense they had set up, I think there were the two Chivas players and Gallardo. That wasn't those were new guys, and they were screwing up as well under Osorio's system.
Yeah, Osorio, to me, the defense under Osorio, when we play against like the stronger teams, has looked bad. And it didn't at first because we had a really easy group, and then we had some Molero games against like under 23 sides, so we really couldn't see it, But then once we started playing the better squads, that's when we started noticing all these mistakes, all these flaws.
And against the counterattack of the U.S., that's going to be interesting. How they if they start pushing up and trying to play offensive, and they get counterattacked by the U.S. by when someone speeds down. Are they going to be set in their? Are the center backs going to be set defensively, or are they going to be all lost and like they were against Chile? So that should be interesting.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how the team reacts after so long and just and especially in a venue like Columbus. It would have been something else if they opened the Hex at home, but it's going to a place where these guys have been before, where they've lost.
Yeah. The mental midgets will come out in Columbus. They'll lose 2-0.
And this happens a lot too, where players will throw the coach under the bus. They'll lose on purpose just to get him sacked, and they know it's a possibility, and they could just throw the game, and it does happen. We see it a lot of times, where once the coach leaves, the next game, the team just looks completely different, and it's usually not because of the new coach. It's just the players,
You should be able to tell that stuff too. Like if you're in the locker room, you can look in the eyes of the players and tell.
And you know what? There was some talk earlier about Jaguares, because they're doing really bad, and so some of the talk was that some of the players are separated, and some of the players have begun talking, and they were saying how certain players were faking injuries just to not play.
Well, they weren't getting paid, were they?
For different reasons too. One of the thing was that I don't know if you remember with Jaguares, they had sacked Cardoso, and then they had already announced Sergio Bueno, and then you had a lot of players that went to the to the club owner, and they vouched for Cardoso, and they ended up signing him back in. So eventually Cardoso got sacked, and then when Bueno came in, supposedly there was already like a rift between the players that he kind of felt like betrayed, because he's just coming in and they're kind of saying, we don't want this guy. Which I think the club messed up right there, announcing him right away, Like everyone messed up. Also the players, like if they already announced him, it just created bad juju.
Well, the players have been trying to sabotage Osorio's from a long time ago. Like he was putting in what's that dude's name? I forget his name. Defensive guy who would always screw up. And Osorio in the press conference would always say, oh, the tactics and the system didn't fail us, but we had an individual mistake. An individual mistake. He would always say an individual mistake was what led to that near goal by Yasser Coron. Yasser. That was the guy. And that was always his excuse. So if something happens again and the players sabotage, and I could just see Guardado like giving a half effort or something like that. And Herrera not playing well like he hasn't lately and things like that. But Osorio will come back in the press conference. Well, the players made an individual mistake. The system is still functioning, and we can continue against Panama and all this stuff.
I don't know, Chiquis. That's a bold statement to say the players will have been. I could see it happening against Columbus just because they're not happy with the way he works and with the whole rotación system. So I could see them throwing the game, just to get rid of this guy. But I don't know, to say it's been happening. I don't.
Yeah, I was just saying that individual players, and that goes more towards Osorio calling up like trash players. It's mostly been for friendlies, but calling up these players, and every time something bad happens with the national team, he'll put it on the players and not on the system. Until the 7-0, then he actually said, "Oh, I need a plan B. We need to know how to better handle this, like 2 goals or 3 goals and stuff." Then he got humbled.
Yeah, humble pie. So that game will be interesting in many fronts, just to see because it's gonna be Osorio's first big test after that defeat. So people want to see how the team reacts, and also he pretty much already said he's not gonna change from the way he's been managing. So that's also it's up in the air. Is it gonna work for him, or is he gonna crash again? So yeah, this game is a good thing. It's the first game.
Yeah.
Because then that way, if he is doing bad, they could just get rid of him, as opposed to we would have had like an easy draw. Like we could have started with 2 home games against 2 of the weaker teams, and we're just kind of scraping by, and then we end up doing what we always do, sacking the coach midway, or almost with the hexagonal about to end.
Yeah, and hopefully, I don't know. It's getting close, but my plans were to be there, but we'll see.
Oh, they still haven't 10 days.
Yeah, it'd be awesome to be in Columbus if a 2-0 happens again, and I'll just be sitting back laughing at all the members of the press stress out and some craziness go on.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be 2-0, man. 2-1 maybe, but I don't think it's 2-0 again, man. 5 times in a row. That's the quinto partido of 2-0. I don't know.
Some mystical stuff might be going on, man. You never know. You see Cruz Azul, they're going downhill. Just some mystical stuff happens in Estadio Azul. Some mystical stuff happens in Columbus.
You know what happened with Cruz Azul though was that they made some changes, and they were kind of off when they made them, because they brought in Yayo de la Torre as GM. So when you bring a GM, he's going to be in charge of building the team. That's general manager. So he's going to bring in the coach and help the coach bring players and so on and so forth. But when they hired him, they had already hired Thomas Boy. Usually you start from scratch, and they had already brought in all these other players. So the only thing left for him to do was to support, to back up Thomas Boy, which he did a pretty good job, and the team was doing pretty good up until he exploded, getting in fights with the press and with fans. But team was almost making a comeback. there. So
That's entertainment, though, man.
so,
That's I like that stuff, like that. Thomas Boy, even though he got fired and he was losing all those games, he was entertaining. I loved his antics and stuff, and that's what I like about like all this sports. And I was looking on Twitter about the World Series, and everybody was like all worried and biting their nails, and I can't take this pressure, I can't take this intensity anymore, and all this stuff. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? Just sit back with some popcorn and enjoy like this game, or enjoy the Cubs lose and be an epic fail again, or enjoy Chivas lose, or Pulido miss a penalty kick and Querétaro win, or whatever. And people get so emotional and stuff over these things.
yeah, dude. No, man. I think Cruz Azul could get their stuff straight. It's just some internal fighting, but if they let the GM work, and they bring in a coach, they bring in the right coach, which is this is one of the interesting things is that Caixinha is one of the coach. Caixinha and Matosas are two candidates, but Monterrey might also be needing a coach. And it's funny how it flipped because a few years back, Cruz Azul was one of the no-brainers. You would prefer it. Now the Rayados is the better candidate. They let you work better and you have more money on transfer fees. So the whole Monterrey crashing might cost them their technical.
Yeah.
There's talk about some Spanish coach, but I'm like, dude, why do you want to bring some? It's too much of a risk. Just go with someone that knows the league and that has won titles in the league, that knows the opponents, knows the venues. Why are you bringing in a total unknown?
Yeah, if you're gonna bring in a Spanish coach, you need to bring in a Spanish coach for like a big name team like America, like Club America. Ronnie would like that especially.
Ron, are you there?
Ron is absent, but Pern Dog just.
I wonder to ask Ron if he saw La Volpe. La Volpe said if he didn't win in the silverware, that he was leaving the club, and just the league is up for grabs. That's the only thing. I can't see them winning the club's World Cup.
Oh yeah.
You don't think they can win the Club World Cup?
America, no, not. Hey, no, to beat who they have to beat Real Madrid.
Oh man, you sound defeatist.
Are you defeatist, Pern? Your Almeida just lost, and he was crying, walking off the field.
Hey man, that guy has passion. He wants to win. And he's taking that winning mentality to Chivas, but obviously it's gonna be some stumbling blocks.
Well, he gave up the CopaMX, man. He didn't want the Campeonísimo because he put in his B team 2 games in a row.
Hey, that this is crying. That goes a bit more to what we were talking about earlier, Chiquis. About how like sometimes the players, they're not as passionate when they're like playing in the final. They don't take it as personal. It's like it's just another game.
Yeah, that's mental midgetry, man. You can't. Like I wouldn't cry. I don't know about crying. Like I wouldn't cry, but I'd be like upset, throwing my shoes or whatever across the hall. And
you throw your shoes across the hall?
Yeah, or your cleats.
So
I'd throw my cleats in the stand if I lost this final. Like if I was Chivas, and if I was Vergara, I would go to my car and go home, and I'd punch the wall or something. But I wouldn't go out there and accept some second place.
Vergara and Higuera look happy to get that.
He was going over there. What is that junk, man? I'd be embarrassed to go over there and get some second place medal.
Those guys were smiling. They were like,
that's ridiculous, man. That's embarrassing.
They're gonna wear it for a month.
Much like an owner coming off of his like palco up there in the stands, going down to the stadium for that. If I was a player, I'd be wanting to get out of there. I wouldn't. accept that stuff. Maybe out of respect, okay, yeah, watch the other team win and stuff. But man, if I lose the final, I'm out of there as quick as I can get. I don't want no second place trophy either. I'll just throw that stuff in the garbage.
Come on, man. Don't be so bitter. You lose some, you win some.
I know. You lose some, you win some. But what is the saying? There's no, if you're in second place, you're in, I forget it.
Well,
If you're not first, you're last.
Yeah, if you're not first, you're last. That's the one.
Well, you know, you got to give it to Chivas. You know, they were in it. You know, but what matters is the silverware, and you know, all you got to do is put in contrast his predecessor. You know, what is this, like 11 games where he only got like 9 points out of 11 games? Is Chepo de la Torre. You know, you can see the contrast between what failure looks like and ya merito looks like. You know, the path to Campeonísimos just got postponed. You know, Campeonísimo CopaMX. It happens.
Well, he has the league. He has the league. That's where he has to prove himself. Not this cup. It's as it was pointed out earlier. A lot of the top teams don't participate in CopaMX, and some of the other top teams don't take it serious.
You
So
think that's going to change now that Libertadores is not in play anymore?
yeah, I was hoping it does, but who knows with Liga MX, because you know there's also, they could also start taking the CONCACAF Cup more serious. You know, at least for the fans. I think the fans play a big role in this, because if the fans don't make a big deal about it, and then you know the club's not gonna care and the media's not gonna care, and it's like no one cares. But if the fans are more demanding, especially with like what happened in Monterrey, where it's like they get eliminated and it's like whatever, you know, it don't matter because we got this Liga, the league title or whatever. So with that attitude, not really. But I think so. That was the one good thing about, you know, you saw Querétaro fans were very passionate about it, and I was happy to see that, because you know that stuff like that improves the football. When you have, you know, fans more supportive of their teams and teams playing to win stuff, as opposed to just showing up. So I think as the fans, they just have to be more on it.
Well, it's going to be a hard task for Chivas to win league, and for America. For anyone to win league, it's going to be a hard task.
Well, Chivas is in fourth, so they're obviously they're seen as candidates, and given their squad, that yeah, it is difficult, but at the same time, it should be expected of them and by the fans. And with Chivas fans, they'll be happy as long as they qualify to the Liga, which is like that's not the right attitude, man. That's mental midgetry right there, man. They should accept.
You feel sad that Chivas lost today?
No, I don't really, because it's like a cup, you know. Nice to win it, but it's like it's not that prestigious just because of how it's treated. And I said it just earlier. Some of the better teams don't participate, and some of the other teams don't take it as serious. So it's like, it's good to win because it's better to have a cup than to not have a cup. But at the same time, it's not like, it doesn't compare to like a Libertadores or a league title. So it's like,
Libertadores doesn't matter anymore. Remember that.
Granted.
Yeah, it does, man. It'll always matter.
No.
Beating South Americans always matters. But like the league's going to be so hard because everyone's got pressure. La Volpe said he's going to bring a cup. So he's got tons of pressure. America's got pressure.
No, but going to answer Pern's, Libertadores matters because it's the premier cup competition in the Americas. So until CONCACAF Cup surpasses it, it's gonna continue to matter. And we're far off from even challenging them for that. Just we're so many years away from it.
I don't know, man. A trash team like Tigres made it all the way to the final. I don't see how prestigious it is. Not the best team doesn't go. The best team doesn't go to to that tournament. Let's be real here. So
Oh wait. Because
like one of the top like one of the best runs for America was when they were in the descenso. So not the descenso, you know what I mean? So not our best teams go there to Copa Libertadores.
man, Tigres just eliminated Monterrey, dude. Your team.
Oh.
And also Monterrey, if you want to talk about
Monterrey still
like
has a chance,
prestigious.
dude.
No,
I think they're out. They're out, dude.
Tied.
I know they're out with a tie. They had to win that game.
You need to check your math, bro.
Dude, you need to check it, man.
No, I think they're dependent on other results. So all the other
wow.
teams have to lose.
They
Yeah,
still
so
have the capability of getting 6 points. And
it's not going to happen.
the difference is not above 6 points. So
No, but if you want to compare Libertadores, Tigres making it to the final, well, we'll see, man. We'll see. But back to the point of
No, but Tigres wasn't
tournament.
trash because they
19 points.
Tigres
you know
also
what the
won.
difference is like 3 points difference, man. Two
Hey,
wins in a
Tigres
row
won
will get
Liga
them.
MX. So if Tigres is trash and they're winning Liga MX or one of the more dominant Liga MX teams, then that makes Liga MX trash.
We're
By
talking
your
about
logic.
the time that we're in the final.
Same thing, dude.
But by his logic,
Same thing.
by his logic, also Monterrey won CCL, so MLS is, by Pern's logic, the top team in the Americas, right? Because Monterrey had to beat.
Your math is wrong and your logic is faulty right now. What the hell going on, dude?
Monterrey won a tournament.
Or what? Did you get
dude,
some
listen,
California tacos?
Listen, dude, Monterrey won a tournament in which MLS teams play in. Tigres almost won a tournament in which South American teams play in. So by your logic, you're saying Monterrey is more prestigious playing MLS teams than Tigres playing South American teams.
Hey, you know what? I think you're running low on like some Houston food or Houston.
That makes sense, man. That makes perfect sense.
You're making some illogical
stuff. That makes perfect sense.
I don't know.
We're using your logic to come up with these things, dude.
It's permanent logic.
I'm sorry, man, but that you guys are far off the mark.
No, you know what? I think Liga MX they concentrate too much on the whole Liguilla system, and I think that hurts us. It hurts.
Man, that's what makes it great. Make it great again, man. So,
but this is you can't say make Liguilla great again because it's not like we had it before and then got rid of it. This is Liguilla and it's been hurting us in the sense that we see it as like a team could finish in 8th place and they qualify, and we could see it as that was a good season.
No, it's not. They gotta win the silverware.
No, but in general, if you qualified, it's seen as like you had a good season, and you finish in 8th or 7th or even 6th, and it's seen as having a pretty good season because
you just had better than the other half. That's all the difference is.
No, but see, this is the thing. It's short tournaments with Liguilla, so it's created this pretty bad this whole culture where it's like complacent, where it's like, okay, well, you don't have to wait till next year. You just wait till a few months, and then you play in the tournament again, and it's just it takes away from having stronger teams or that's why like and I talked about this a while back. How come you have teams from Paraguay, Peru, Ecuador that could win Libertadores, but Mexican teams can't? And it's one of the reasons is that
real easy because they changed the rules of the tournament.
No, man, this is what happens.
We don't get a fair shake, dude.
Yeah, but okay,
let's just be honest here.
Put that to the side, though, man.
No, wait. One of the biggest robberies of all time is how no Mexican team can have the last game in the final.
I know that's.
I know,
but you know what?
You know what that is?
You know what? In all the finals that we played,
that's being afraid. You know what I mean? I mean, the South Americans are afraid of getting raped in Mexico.
Okay, we weren't able to win though when we did play at home the first game.
They have those rules in place where
even if the rule wasn't You have to
Tigres
win
was
at
supposed
home.
to have the final play, the last, because they were higher seeded.
I know, but we didn't win a single
And-
game. All three of them ended up in draws.
Yes, I know.
All three
But it
games
could have
ended
been
up
a
in
lot
draws.
different if they would have,
I think
not had
Chivas
those
lost.
unfair rules.
And,
I'm just saying,
no, but let me tell you, like
those rules don't apply to the South American teams.
well, okay, point taken. But going to what I'm saying is, these smaller clubs from like Ecuador, Peru, with smaller budget, they have the whole long season, so they'll keep the same team for playing together for longer stretch, and ultimately that's what makes them better. Where like in Liga MX,
Okay,
many teams, dude, hold, let me finish the.
You're taking too long,
man.
dude. My ADD is kicking in. I'm sorry, but okay, we'll get back to you.
Well, then I gotta go already. I gotta go already. So no, because I go to work and I go to midnight. But my point is, you got
It's not
Liga
midnight
MX
yet.
teams that change. They'll no, I go in at midnight. I have to leave and drive there.
Yeah.
They'll-
Can you
they'll
go
change.
to your thing, man?
They'll change teams every 6 months. So you have a team that they're playing with. It didn't do that good, and then they're starting the next liguilla. They'll bring in 6, 7 new players. So it becomes disruptive, and some of these teams end up not. So sometimes like that team that qualified to Libertadores, by the time they go play, it's not even the same team anymore. It could be a whole different other team. So that's one of the things that's hurt us. On that note, los dejo, chavos.
What a way to do a drive-by.
All right. We're going to end the show then. Thanks for coming on late, Kern Dog.
Not a problem. I just wanted to mention to, to he, in case he wants to, come back later on and read his, listen to his own Getting Owned. That one of, the Mexican League, they grab most of their talent from South America. They buy some of the best players and bring them over. They do them out with money. For example, that team Ecuador that won the Copa Libertadores Once Caldas back in 2004. Do you remember some of those players? I don't know. You probably don't remember. I remember one that stood out with me was Guerrón was one. He ended up going to Spain right after that, Libertadores win. So that's point. What I'm making is like, that's just gonna happen. You're gonna have good players coming up the ranks in Libertadores, and instead of Mexico buying the players, they're probably going in Europe. That's Libertadores is a good tournament, and any team can win it there because the rules are even for the South American teams, and they're not the same for us. But that's it.
That's an excuse, though. That's mental military, man. Mexico should go in there, dominate, even if the rules are stacked against them.
It's true. I do agree with that.
And it's harder. And by your statement, it's harder. So for Tigres to make it, it was harder for them. Whereas CONCACAF champions were Monterrey, of course, were crowned the title.
3 times in a row.
They had it in their favor,
a row.
maybe. They had it in their favor. It's a weaker tournament. Of course they can do it. If Monterrey were to go to Libertadores, they might have failed in the first round or something. Yeah.
Well, Tigres has been in a CONCACAF champions, and we already know what happened to them. They didn't do anything there. So.
Roger that. All right, man. Well, thanks everyone who's listening. I think we still have one listener. Oh, it's Kevin. So shout out to Kevin, and we'll see you guys next week after right before the U.S. game. Later.
All right, you guys have a good evening.